Seriously, I would rather punch myself in the balls than fucking play Crucible for fun.
Alright, I'll get the camera. Start recording.
Right.
Prove how much you hate Crucible then.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. And today we'll be talking about the new season, or how we think about the new season, and the new dungeon. And I just have a little announcement, which I'll say now, which is we now have a Discord. Me, Green, and the rest of the clan have a Discord, which has now been recently in the bottom description for like a couple of videos now. But this is now like a formal announcement that that's there. So if you wanna talk to us like personally, or not personally, but like talk to us, or just wanna be part of a community which we're trying to build on that Discord server, then feel free to join. Anyway, let's get with the rest of this, which is about the Leviathan.
Well, I admit I love the Leviathan back. I mean, I just love the Leviathan. Like yes, I never got the chance to do most of the shit on the Leviathan, but I love it. And we can't really say definitively anything good about the story because it's only
not been out for that long.
Yes.
But the one thing I do like about the Leviathan being back is they brought it back, which is cool and all, but they've updated it to do with the story. So it's not just the same back as the way it was, like with the same shiny cover. It's aged, it's corrupted.
Corrupted. It's different.
It's intertwined with the story, which is cool. It's not like just say like Vogue where it's back
they didn't just,
the exact same way.
They didn't throw it in there and expect us to go ooga booga shiny. They actually threw it in and intertwined it into the story, making it worth something.
And I do like how the Egregore, I believe that's how you pronounce the fungi, is a reoccurring thing with the Callus's Cabal, because that was on the Glycan and now it's on the Leviathan. And especially in some like the underbelly parts of the Leviathan looks a lot like the Glycan, which is quite cool.
Yeah, now that you really say that, whenever I was traveling between the Royal Pool and the Garden, I always felt like, am I in the Glycon or am I in the fucking... Yeah, it just felt like I was in the Glycon. And if you actually...
You go.
No, I was going to say, if you get like some of the memory fragments from Duality, he actually mentions the Glycon.
Yeah, he does. I don't remember exactly what he says, but I remember distinctly that he says that the first ship to come out of the Leviathan was the Glycon.
Yeah.
I think if I remember he says correct, I think he was saying like he thought he was gonna basically like they were doomed because the first like ship to come out was just the Glycon, ran out of fuel on its first journey or something.
Yeah. And if you actually grab if you grab one of the few memory fragments before you get to Keidel's boss fight, he actually mentions how his body is aging and he just doesn't want to live anymore. But he has to make sure the final shape happens.
Yeah.
Probably also make sure Keidel doesn't end up where he is my best guess.
Yeah, I'll come back to that, but because that's kind of to do the dungeon part, which I want to talk about a little bit. But
Fine.
In terms of the story, which you mentioned earlier, which was you said we haven't seen much of it yet, so we can't say too much about the larger story. But in terms of the Crow and Aldrin relationship, that's interesting.
Yes.
Because it's interesting to see how, because it's interesting because the Crow remembers all what happened as he was Aldrin, so it's interesting to see like how different he is from what he was back then, and there.
Yeah, to see the massive change. Admittedly, I know it's Forsaken happened a long time ago, and it's just I know, and I kind of just still hold a grudge over Crow and Aldrin. I don't know why, but it's just I physically cannot like Crow at all. But I will admit he has changed from being Aldrin.
Yeah, the way I see it is like when he found out like all got his memories back, it's kind of like a testing grounds in a way that if he has the way that the story, like if you, this is kind of like in stories, a lot of the time the hero or the protagonist has this kind of moment where it's a make or break kind of situation, where they can either
where
revert
they're forced to,
or
where they're
they
forced to
carry on.
face the past, no matter how dark their past may be.
Yeah, and I feel like this is the Crows, and no matter what happens, I would say whether Aldrin wins, I don't think that'll happen because it just seems very unlikely that'll be the case. Or like Crow wins, he'll be a changed person, and the whoever he was before will be a closed book. That's what I think.
Man, can we talk about little? Can we talk about the little side story about Amanda Holiday and Gail being before she found out he was Aldrin? And
Yeah. I think the best way that this was described was by My Name is Bife, which is emotional damage.
get emotional damage.
Yeah. That is an interesting thing because, as like I quoted Bife there, but Bife also did say in his video about the law in that aspect was he does and I agree with him this, as I don't think their friendship or relationship or wherever they were will heal as Aldrin's around. Aldrin has to go before anything like that can re-heal.
Yeah, otherwise it'll just stay the same.
Yeah. Big vehicle just run past. And then from what we've seen of the other two, which is Zavala's having his wife, which I've seen on YouTube. There's a video, like a cutscene, which I'm not sure if that's a leaked or that's just been in the game and I haven't found out about yet. But that, yeah, that's messed up. And
yep.
I'm
then we got Kyle and fucking Gaul.
Yeah, I'm interesting to see how that works out because we can kind of get the sense of Aldrin being Crow's shame and the Zavala's wife being his greatest regret.
Failure because he feels like he let their adopted son die and he never got that. He never felt like he truly reconciled with her after.
But I'm wondering what was Dominus's goals, like whole thing of her is, because the closest thing I could think of is if she regrets the Midnight Coup, and because of that, she's magnified that into a person who is Gaul. That's what I think.
My best guess, honestly, is that since he went after the Traveler and started the whole Red War, and he failed miserably, and she feels like her backing him and him failing disgraced her name or something like that.
Yeah, well, like I said, I do believe it's very much the case that the whole like Midnight Coup. If you ever seen the lore about how Callus was exiled, it was she had the choice to let the entire fit. Like she had basically had Callus had to have this bone, which people theorize is an Ankara bone, that could have stopped the entire Midnight Coup as that, but she crushed it and let the Midnight Coup happen. So, and like I said, Gaul kind of led that Midnight Coup, as far as I'm aware of. So she could regret that, and like I said, she's personified that in a being who was Gaul because he was the one who led it. So it could be that because she might regret, exiling her father.
She also might regret not making the choice to kill him when she had the chance, because Gaul had the opportunity to kill Callus. Even Callus begged Gaul to kill him, but he refused to because of Kyle requesting him not to. So I mean,
so it's interesting to see how that side goes.
Oh sure, shit'll be interesting.
So that's that. And then, let's move on to the dungeon, which the dungeon is a whole different. Well, it's a pain in the ass, yes, but in terms of like the aesthetics and the story, which is there, is very, very interesting.
Well, admit it reinvents how to do a dungeon.
Yeah, it definitely puts duality in. It definitely puts dual in duality.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I mean, it has its own like little recurring thing, like how the Grasp of Avarice had the riches, the burden of riches. It
Mm.
has the bells, and yeah,
And in Prophecy, there was the light and dark, and
yeah, and in Shattered, wait, what? In Shattered Throne, it was the symbols, like it was in Last Wick.
Shadow. Yeah, I would say it's the symbols, but then also the thing was also in the Pit of Heresy. That also, I suppose that you could argue that was either symbols of the sword.
True.
Yeah, I would say Pit, like till this day, like Pit of Heresy is probably the one that lacks the most of its own, like in terms of mechanics, its own identity.
Yes, Pit of Heresy is one of the more calmer dungeons I've done.
It's the
Shattered
easiest
Throne
by
is,
far.
yeah, Shattered Throne is a pain in the ass. We can agree upon that, right?
Yeah,
Or it used to be a pain in the ass.
it still is.
Yeah, we tried doing it last week and we couldn't do it because there was no fucking rally spot,
Hmm.
which is yes, it's a little annoying.
But yeah,
Oh.
back to the duality dungeon. I do
Yeah,
enjoy the three encounters which we got, which was Galvan, mini Galvan, I mean.
Yeah.
The Vault, and Callus's greatest shame, which is Keitel.
Which I kind of called. If you wait, which video was it? It was.
It
I
was
think when we
the
did
same
our-
video on the dungeon.
Yeah. No. It was the video we. Yeah. No, it was when we were talking about pre-season of the Haunted. We were talking about how. Yeah.
But also, I remember, I think it was either you or Ari when we were doing the actual dungeon itself. He's like, imagine if the last boss is Keitel.
I think I said that.
It might have been both of you, but I
Yeah,
remember
it might-
definitely
it
Ari at the
was,
very
but
least
I
was like at
really
the
don't
end.
remember.
I definitely remember at the very end, like Ari was like, "Oh my god, it was actually happened." But the final boss fight was way harder than it should have been.
Oh, sure as shit. Because I'll admit, it's a fun and interactive way, but for God's sake, tone down the amount of shit, like the Bell Keepers. I mean, it's an interesting concept, but for fuck's sake, they are way just... Oh,
I would bet you by next season that was like it's gonna be a significantly easier dungeon, not because they'll have changed stuff, but just because we'll be much more powerful.
it can go either way.
But yeah, in
But
terms of the aesthetic, I like how at the start it was kind of like, I'm not sure it was on Tor Bartle, but I do like the more traditional Cabal looking architecture at the start, and then it kind of evolves into more like the underbelly of the Leviathan or the Glycon, and then it's like another part of like the Tor Bartle, and then at the end, I'm assuming it was Tor Bartle again, but it was had the wine, which was on the grander Leviathan when it was still not decaying.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an interesting dungeon. Much longer than the last one, which was Grasp of Avarice. I would say that.
Grasp of Avarice was fun. Oh, by the way, speaking of that, do you know where the secret chests are?
In the new dungeon.
Yes.
Well, I know there's one in that circular
In the-
room with a statue.
Yeah, with the statues, yeah.
And then the
I
other
found
one.
the second one.
Yeah, the other one's like under the big box covered in a veil.
Under the big box right before we get to Keitel boss fight. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. In terms of the lore, I haven't got all the bells yet, but I do like how there's the lore you get sprinkled in by just playing the dungeon, and then there's also the lore you get for the bells. And back to
Yeah.
what Green was saying with that one bell towards the end, I remember that one distinctly, and he says that he needs, or he's already shed his body, which is basically what happened on the Glycon when like he apparently just disappeared, and then he was able to be heard as if he was like, cause there was those voices on the Glycon which only came from dead people, and he was one of them. So it's implied that he's already done it, or he's planning to do it very soon. But I believe he's already done it.
It kind of doesn't really explain how we were able to hear him laugh. Like when we initially boarded the Leviathan at the start of the season, it doesn't explain how we hear him laugh if that's the case, though. Unless it was just some leftover version of him, like an echo.
Because I believe Like it's something like how we go to that statue. Like the statue has a bit like he's either like his brains in it or whatever, or he's linked to it like in terms of soul wise, or he might not be on the Leviathan at all. But I feel like what's happening is he's linked to the nightmares somehow. So he's basically made himself like a self-aware nightmare. That's what I believe.
Isn't like the Nightmare of Aldrin kind of self-aware though?
Well, that's actually said, I believe, at the start of the season, where back from in Shadowkeep when the nightmares were attacking us, that was a defense mechanism by the ship, the pyramid ship, to deter people from going to it. While this time it's more directed and more filled with malice, that it's more intended. And it's believed that the reason why that's happening is because Callus is now aiming them, or he's now guiding them to do that. It's less of a defense and more of a weapon.
Wait, Riley, that brings up an idea of mine. So you know how both the pyramid ships on Europa and the moon are empty, right? How we haven't found someone like Rulk in them, like a disciple of the Witness.
Yeah.
What if the pyramid ship on the moon becomes Callus's pyramid ship? Like that becomes his, and yeah.
Or yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Or the whole link they've got going on with the nightmares is he's basically draining the pyramid ship and making the Leviathan its own pyramid ship.
Oh God.
And basically that's how he's basically because you know how the pyramid contained all the nightmares. He's basically moving all the nightmares onto the Leviathan and making that his own triangle ship, like his own pyramid ship.
His own space Dorito.
Yeah. But except of being a Dorito, it's the mouth that eats them. But
yeah.
Also,
speaking of that, you remember when we were on the moon last time and there was that big ball of blue energy? Is that supposed to be
the big blue energy on the moon? What do you mean?
Like, alright, so whenever you go to the moon and you look slightly up and to the left, you see the Leviathan. And then you look even more up, you see that big blue ball of energy above the Leviathan.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be where we go and we go to the actual Leviathan? I mean, yes, it is, but
there's the under it, yeah. But where the blue ball, if I believe was
energy or just what? I'm
the
confused.
blue ball, if I remember, if it's the thing I'm thinking you're talking about, that's where the suns used to be, like the two twin suns on the Leviathan. So I believe they're either the corrupted suns or the blue giants or blue dwarfs, I think they're called, or he's replaced them completely with something else. Who knows? That might be Callus himself. I don't know.
Who the hell knows? I sure don't.
But I do like when it's hovering over the moon. It definitely has that sense of size, which you didn't really get on Nessus.
No, you did not. Did you even see the Leviathan?
You could see it eating Nessus.
Ah.
But it was definitely a lot more tinier than it is if you look on the moon, where it's massive.
Yep.
But yeah, what was it? Yeah, the dungeon. I love the fact that the dungeon is completely farmable. Completely, you can go in, back to back to back and get everything. Even the exotic. I love that.
Honestly, I don't really like the exotic.
You don't like the exotic? Have you got it?
Nope. And I don't want it.
Well, that's you're pointing to get it then in your next completion then, because you don't want it.
Ha!
And then you're oh my god, I love it.
Riley, I was never a big sword guy anyway. I hate just having a lament in my inventory.
I mean,
the only reason
swords are
why
useful.
I have it's when I'm trying to do. I mean, yes, I'll use it, but I just hate having it in general.
Well, I'll have to have the sword myself to really make a judgment if I like it or not.
Yeah. You can't make a definitive call until you at least try it, but I'm just gonna declare that now. I hate it.
Yeah, but I definitely intend to just farm the crap out of the dungeon when I next can, just to get the weapon, everything basically.
Bro, the one definitive thing I want from the dungeon is fixed odds. That LMG.
LMG, yeah. I believe you get that from the second encounter. I believe.
Vault.
Yeah. Let me check. I put it in the PVE chat. The loot tables. I know you can only get fixed odds with the pulse rifle in the final encounter.
Like the final encounter?
Yeah, so you can basically you can get everything in the entire thing before the final encounter, but the only things you can get in the final encounter is the pulse rifle, the fixed odds, and the exotic.
So let me get this fucking straight. I gotta fight Keitel just to get an LMG.
Yeah,
Oh, for fuck's sake!
it better be a good machine gun.
Yeah, it better be good, otherwise it's a waste of time. Seriously. I mean, yes, the armor does look like I'm from Anthem, but the point is, it's just, I can't think of anything else I want from that dungeon. And if I'm gonna fight Keitel over and over again, trying to get it, then it better be fucking worth it. And speaking of which, I did a last wish last night, and I got an Apex Predator with fucking Ambitious Assassin.
Yeah.
A rocket, bro, I got a rocket launcher with fucking Ambitious Assassin. What kind of ass is this?
It's the best kind of ass, apparently.
Do you know what Ambitious Assassin does?
Not off the top of my head, I'm not on the game.
It gives me 2 shots.
That's good. Is it not?
And it just doesn't make sense.
On a rocket launcher.
Yes, it was a Apex Predator is a rocket launcher from the Last Wish, and I got Ambitious Assassin on it.
So you can shoot 2 shots of a rocket.
Yes,
Isn't that what
But I
Gatron
have-
does?
kind of. But Riley, I have to get a kill with Apex to actually trigger Ambitious Assassin.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes a little bit more
Yeah,
stupid
you
sense.
see why I say it's ass, because it's just a waste of ammo.
Yeah, I suppose. Okay. Well, I think that ends this small little podcast. If you liked it, hit the like button and subscribe, and look at the new Discord link in the bottom description. And see you guys next time. Bye.